Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the time has finally come.
Ha. Time. Ha. Time. Ha.
And you heard that right. Kenny is with me once again. And if you recall the schedule I said last game with him, time has finally come for Chrono Trigger.
Chrono Trigger. Oh my god. I need to replay this game again. I really do. It's been a while since I played this game. Since my last legitimate LP of it, actually. So.
Last time I played this was, I think, freshman year of high school.
Okay, that's inaccurate. Who has 800 HP when fighting Flea? Are you kidding me? I mean, New Game Plus exists, but still.
I guess, but let's save that for then.
Because seriously, if I had New Game Plus by then, I'd have 999, but whatever.
I suppose. But with that, let's go over the Chrono Trigger really quick. I'm gonna say some things right here off the bat. First off, I'm not showing off all the endings. I'll go more in detail with that later, but Chrono Trigger has about 12 endings, and we're only going for the main storyline this time around.
Oh, you're not gonna go for the Chrono solo or Chrono Marl love duet? Oh, that sucks.
No. I'm going just here for the main story, though I will give recommendations on what to do for those later on. And I will not be doing much grinding in this LP. I'll be doing a bit early on just to have some level balances, but past a certain point, the only grinding I'm going to be doing is a bit of tech grinding just so I can have everyone have their final ones by a certain point in time. I will be showing every side quest off in the game, but I will tell you for a fact right now, ladies and gents, if you look at the video length, right about now, it's about 30 minutes-ish, because you had to watch the PlayStation FMV intro. I didn't want us to watch that because then we'd just be talking over redundancy for 6 minutes. All these parts are going to be a half hour plus, roughly. The longest one I've recorded so far is about 43 minutes, I think. So bring some popcorn for these.
There's a lot of ground to cover in this game. There's a lot.
Because the thing is, well, Final Fantasy 1 and 2 were about, 15 parts long?
15 parts long.
Those were also about 15 to 20 minutes. Chrono Trigger's a Super Nintendo RPG. So there's a lot more to do and just a lot more to do in general, actually.
I want to see, let's see, I'm thinking right now about the side quests that exist, and I'm counting one that does lead, directly to the final boss. It does technically count. Let's see, 1, 2...
And I should tell you right now, ladies and gentlemen, if you're wondering what version I'm playing, I am playing Classic Super Nintendo. I would have played the DS version, but I have basically no experience with that extra content. So we're just going right on in to the Super Nintendo version of Chrono Trigger.
There's about 9 side quests.
Yeah, that's about right. And for the most part, I'm actually playing on wait time because allows my strategies to go through a bit more easily.
Active time. This is one of the games where active time isn't the greatest.
Yep. And our main character is Chrono, not Chrono. Chrono. There's no H in there. Who is basically outright Super Saiyan 4 Goku.
With the red hair.
Yeah. Because in case you don't know,
because he doesn't talk, he's not screaming for 5 minutes.
And that's right, ladies and gentlemen. If you can tell, the artist for this game is Akira Toriyama of Dragon Ball fame. So be prepared to see a lot of Goofy.
Dragon Ball fame.
And as every RPG, we start by our mother waking us up. Why is this a trope?
Because Quist is Trep. T-R-E-P-E. I don't know.
Kisses came out after this.
Oh. I know. Lean's bell makes such beautiful music.
But Chrono's already a better main character than most because he's a cat person. Booyah.
Cats are great.
Cats shall conquer the world.
I love cats and dogs the same, but I'm allergic to cats to an extent, so I would prefer to have a dog in the house as much as I love cats.
I'm a cat person, but if there's a dog around, I'll give it love.
Love dog.
And apparently our mom wants us to meet our friend, Luca, who is very obviously based off Bulma, over in the Lean Square. Because she has a new invention. Because she really is just Bulma.
Sciencey.
And if you talk to your mom again after that, you get 200G. Which doesn't sound like much, but for early game, that's a pretty decent chunk.
Are you gonna grind it all for money, maybe?
The only time I do is when I need to purchase a certain helmet type later on because, good lord, 50,000 is way too much. And let's see what the citizens have to say. This is Truce Village, by the way. You actually have access to a good amount of the world right off the bat, but there's nothing to really do in it aside from talk to people. The Mayor's Manor here is a pretty solid trope that if you're a fan of Squaresoft, you've seen a lot. It's basically your tutorial house, like the beginner's house in 5 and 6, and in Final Fantasies 5 and 6 and such. There's a few chests you can grab in here. If you talk to the mayor a bit, I think he gives you some more money.
300, I think.
That sounds about right. He's going over the tech system that the game has, which is this game's equivalent to magic and abilities, but we'll go over that when the time actually comes to use it.
And I think with the sum of money you get, the 300 gold from the man, the 200 that you have, and the I believe 400 that you actually start with, you have accumulated 1,000 total.
That sounds about right. And here's the bar. There's not much to really do here. I'm only really showing off the villages in this game because there's some pretty funny dialogue, because I think this was a Ted Woolsey game that did the translation. So, Ted Woolsey wit.
Oh.
Though apparently there's been some earthquakes going on around here for some reason. This box has been the found for generations. Open it, you may have what's inside, but it's sealed by a mysterious force. Keep that in mind for about 10-ish parts from now.
Well, maybe 15, 16 parts, because you're about...
We'll see. And that guy actually brings up an interesting point. There's apparently a whirlpool that opens up near here every now and then, but we're not sure what it does.
We're not well...
Either way.
Welcome to the fair.
Yes, the fair. The fair is a really interesting place, because there's actually a good amount you can do in it, but most of it is pretty optional. But at this point in the game, there is a pretty important thing to do. First off, I'm going to buy a bronze helm just so I can up Chrono's defense. Also, interesting thing about this game, you can actually equip things right in the shop menu. I rarely do it, but you can.
I didn't know that. What button do you press for that?
Down.
I didn't know that. Thank you.
I might be teaching you some stuff this time around because I actually know a good amount of strategies. Oh, hello there, girl. Ow! You okay there, Missy?
Ouch, that hurt!
Oh, the bell's ringing.
Sassy.
And she dropped her pen, and we can see it on screen, but before you grab it, talk to her, then grab it.
Talk to her, then grab it, because that's
The Lean Fair actually has a bit of a system going on here at the start that influences a later event, and I'm going to be doing my best to make that event as best as I can, as good of an outcome as I can. Have
you gotten the best outcome?
I almost did this playthrough, but I messed up on one small thing. And this girl's... How do you pronounce that, Kenny? I usually go with Marl.
Marl is how I do it.
I've heard Marley. That's the way my brother pronounces it even. But, yeah, I'll probably switch between them. But we're going to have some fun with it around the area. First off, if you want to influence certain things, don't eat that pink bag, because that's this guy's lunch.
That also affects the later event.
Yes. I'm going to go another one right now, but I'm actually...
Talk to the kitten. Talk to the kitten.
This is the one thing I almost always screw up. You're supposed to talk to the cat first, then give it to the girl. I always thought for some reason you had to talk to the girl, get the cat, then go back. This is the one thing that I think I don't like about this particular part of the system that we're going to see later on, is that this one is very Noobit trappish. Because if you don't know to do it, you are kind of screwed on that one.
Also, if you get stuck like between the cat and like an axis something, you'll have to talk to it and it'll run away. And you have to exit screens and then come back and talk to the cat again. And it sucks because the cat follows you like a party member does, except it gets kind of stuck. And there's another instance of that way later on in the game that is way worse than this, in my opinion.
It's almost as bad as Secret of Mana party member pathfinding, because it's honestly kind of crap. But we brought back her cat at least, so I'm at least glad I did that, because cat people need to band together. And here's a jungle dance area. This is kind of weird. There's no point to do this, I just do it to show off the funky music a bit earlier than you usually find it. But yeah, if you press, I think it's X, Y, L, and R, you actually get little dance moves. They're mostly just emotes the characters will do at various points in the game, like laughing and such, but it's there.
Catchy rhythm. Oh boy. I think there is an instance of this later on, I think. If you choose the whatever.
At least two of them, I think.
Yeah. Where did you screw up? Is this where you... I'm wondering I'm wondering what event you messed up now.
The cat. You're supposed to talk to the cat first. If you go to the cat girl, didn't get the cat, you fail that event.
Oh,
and this is Melchior. He has some equipment that's actually really good at this point, but it's way too expensive for its own good.
Well, I mean, the Iron Blade's not, though.
It's not worth it because you can find one of those later on.
The Lode Sword you can get pretty early.
Yeah.
But.
And he apparently lives nearby, but he wants to try and talk Marl into selling repellent. Tell him no. That event influences the event later on. And now Luke is ready, but we're not going to go there just yet. You see, the thing is, the fair has its own little mini-game system going on called Silver Points. Well, first off, I do want to do one last thing before I head up there. The moment you try to head up there, this happens. She wants to try and get candy. And she does.
Don't move.
Don't move at all. If you do, that later event gets a negative influence. So just stand around for about 20 seconds.
I also like to think of it kind of like the Gestalian Empire brunch thingy in Final Fantasy VI.
I tend to look at it kind of like something from Final Fantasy IV Advance's post-game. The Trial for Cecil has something like that. Either way, the fair has this thing called Silver Points, which are currently used for the mini-games around here. There's a lot of ways to get them, but my favorite way by far is Gato here. He's a robot that Luca built, and he's also our first enemy in the game. 76 HP, 10 XP, 1 TP, and 0 gold.
Why didn't you add his anime thingy?
Because the anime thing is kind of weird. That thing is weird.
It is weird. Also, you didn't give me enemy notes, did you?
In the Discord chat.
Let me grab that.
Now, the thing is about enemy notes with this game in particular is that I'm not going to be saying all the stats outright. Why? Because unless we say otherwise, all enemies have 127 defense and or 50 magic defense. If I don't say otherwise, it's that. And that's Gato. You can refine him over and over again in order to get 15 silver points every time. If you want to get a max of 200, it's the easiest way to do so.
You sent me some Final Fantasy 3 and Final Fantasy 7?
Dude, not that Discord chat. The server. The recording server.
Got it. Sorry. I'm kind of sort of new to Discord at the moment. God damn.
I figured. Now, there is a few things you can do with silver points, but it's mostly in one area, but I'm showing off all the ways you can get it. This is the soda guzzling contest, which is more or less mash A. I forget if you need to get them all, or if you
need to get
just
them
get
all.
A certain amount. Okay, if you get them all, you get a certain amount of silver points.
5.
That is surprisingly hard to do. I'm surprised I did that first try.
It is really hard.
You get 5 silver points for that, which is not the best way to do an investment of them. I think you can also trade silver points for money or vice versa by that guy in the top left. Another way to do it is this guy right here. This is your generic hammer bell game that you would see at a lot of carnivals. The way it works is that when you walk in front of it, Chrono will start moonwalking back and forth, and at the farthest point, if you press the A button, that thing will rise up, and if it hits the bell, you get 1 silver point.
Just 1.
Without a doubt, my second favorite way to get silver points, and also the way you get the most at once, is this little race thing going on. When you wait for all of them to finish, and they line up like that, you can talk to this guy to choose a winner. It's entirely random as to who it is, and I generally try to either go for Green Ambler or the Steel Runner. This can be the best way to get it at once if you don't want to get the experience points and tech points from Gato, but it takes way too long.
My personal favorite way is to get Gato, because not only can I get some experience and tech points, just, for grinding tech purposes, I usually just like doing the grinding in general. And I find that I have bad luck with this race here, so...
There is a way you can manipulate it ever so slightly. I've heard that if you try to walk in front of them like I did with the Green Ambler there, you can make them move around, but it didn't work too well for me. Either what I'm about to do is grind for some silver points. I forget how many I went through for. I think like 125-ish. But you want to do that because I want to show off some of the games you can do in this little tent here. This is the only place in the game you can use your silver points. Oh, I went for max. And I'm not going to show off all the things you can do in here. There's one I'm saving for later. But I'm going to show off the first one and the third one.
The third one is my personal favorite because you get the most out of it. And I find it to be the easiest by far.
This is your basic memory game. You have to memorize which one is which and follow them as to where they go. You got Vixen Wedge, yet again returning from Final Fantasy VI, and Piet. And at the end of this game, Norstein or Nullstein Beckler, and it's inconsistent as to which one they use. You have to find the one he wants you to find, and if you do, you get stuff.
You get a Poyozo doll or something.
Yeah, you get a Poyozo doll for Chrono's room, which plays a certain song when you interact with it.
Doesn't everyone get a Poyozo doll if you do it?
No, only Chrono does, I believe. And now let's show off the 80 silver point game. I'm not going to show off the 40-point one, as I said before, because that is influential later on. The 80-point game is the one you want to use a lot in order to get a certain item later on. What we have to do here is more or less... Marl's going to be trying to be lowered onto that fire. We need to hit those coins in front of us to hit the Kilwala enemies that are away from us.
Speckio!
Well, no, these are just Kilwalas. The blue light there is when Marl is getting too close to the fire. You can tap it, and then she'll be dragged back up. By getting them all up there, we get a cat! If you replay it, either the first or third game after that, you get cat food, which I do for a bit there, and so now we have 2 cats in our house. This is actually a bit of a side quest I'm not really toying around with much, in that the cat food you can get from the Nullstein-Beckler tent after that influences how many cats you have in your house. You can have up to a maximum of 11, 5 in your room, 6 downstairs. And it's entirely pointless. I don't know why it's there, but you can do it.
I thought you said you needed a certain item.
No, it's not item. I think it's entirely based off the amount of cat food. And now I'm going to head into Guardia Forge here to do some stuff ahead of time. Right here is a power tab. This is equivalent to the seeds, I think, from one of the Final Fantasy Legend games. Use it on a character, that stat is raised. Power tab raises power by 1.
For those of you who are like me, who relate that kind of thing to like Fire Emblem or something, it's basically an energy ring that increases your strength.
By the way, I'll let you go over this enemy in a moment, Kenny. What I'm going over here is the tech system. The way the tech system works is that it's basically your magic and techniques, as I said earlier. The tech screen allows you to choose certain attacks to use on enemies. Fairly basic. The way that you level them up is that each enemy will drop what is known as a tech point, and that's basically currency towards your techs. You learn techs in a certain order, no matter what. There are certain dual techs you can use later on, but for the most part, it's fairly simple. Like right now, we only have Aura Whirl, which combines Marl's Aura, which is basically a heal spell, with Chrono's Cyclone, which is a cyclone attack that can hit multiple enemies within its range to heal your entire party, or at least party within the range.
Okay.
If I were to, what was that?
Oh, never mind. I was gonna read the notes, but I can probably do that with those ones there.
I don't fight. I am adopting a similar thing to what I did in the other games. I'm editing out all redundant battles. So I'll go over to the new enemy for me right now here. You can go over the Hitake in a moment. Next up is a Beetle, 12 HP, 3 XP, 1 TP, and 15 gold.
And the Avion Chaos is 45 HP, gives 4 experience points, 1 tech point, 18 gold. It rings a bell to cause chaos, which is essentially confusion, causing a character to attack their party members and or enemies. And honestly, I feel like confusion is redundant in this game because whenever there's confusion, it's just a nuisance. It's nothing big because the character usually misses.
Yeah, more or less. Either way, you can go over the Hitake now because I think I fight these guys.
The Hitake is a mushroom in general, and 14 HP, 3 experience points, 1 tech point, 16 gold. Nothing special.
Yeah, a lot of the enemies in the early game are like that. Most enemies actually have a few counterattacks, which are basically variations of the normal attacks. But we're not going over them because for the most part, unless I say otherwise, they're not specific. Like there's some later on that'll absorb HP or MP, so on and so forth.
Oh boy. I hope you're going to get
the...
What's the thing? No, go ahead. It was...
One thing I actually didn't know that for my first few playthroughs. You can actually enter the Xenon Bridge there to get some dialogue from NPCs. And this is the Village of Poor. I'm only showing this off just because I can at this point.
So this is essentially why the episode is so long? Am I curious?
Kind of. I don't think we progress to plot until around 22-23 minutes. I do want to get a bronze medal here for Chrono though, just because it's a good upgrade for him.
Also the steel blade or steel sword thing.
The steel sword I think is actually weaker than the iron blade, and I'll be finding an iron blade soon enough anyway. The snail stop here is something I want to do later on that's pretty important. You can buy something known as jerky here for I think 9,900 gold. That
really expensive, but it's imperative that you get it for an important side quest
later on. But by that point, you'll have more than enough gold to get it anyway. I do like the fact that they fleshed out these towns by making them have a good amount of dialogue and people in them. Because these actually feel like towns, unlike some Final Fantasy towns where they only have like 5 people.
Lindblom. Yay.
this is the mayor's house of poor. And
This is
apparently the mayor is a complete and total
jerk.
greedy dick. Though you can get infinite 10G here if you dance like a chicken over and over again. So if you want to do some money grinding early on, this could be feasibly useful for that.
It's a time waster. I'd much rather.
Yeah, you can get more G from that just from a single battle, but if you don't want a battle, you can just do that. And there's more of those mysterious chests here. Huh. And we got a shelter, which is basically this game's tent.
Okay.
Use it on a save point or in the world map, you can fully restore your HP and MP.
I just want to say that those boxes look like they have faces on them. Those dots look like eyes, and then the crest is like a mouth or something. I can't explain it.
I always got reminded of Diablo for some reason. And this is Luca and her father's invention, teleporter pods.
If only this was possible right now.
It's pretty Star Trek-like, which makes me wonder how the hell did Luca manage to whip this up in more or less medieval times? Because Luca, as far as I can remember, is the only one that has like any sophisticated technology at all in this game. God.
I never really thought about that.
You put my face on backwards! And I actually, there's times like this where the cutscene feels like it should continue on automatically, but you actually have to move around and talk to people yourself. It does that like 3 or 4 times throughout the game, and it always feels weird when it does it. And Marl wants to give it a shot too. You jealous, Luca?
Luca is jealous.
She totally is.
The damsel. Oh boy, are we gonna have a damsel in distress cliche?
If I recall, this is like the only time they bring these things up for the rest of the game, too.
The telepods?
Yeah, because I don't think they ever bring them up again.
I mean, not really. I mean, depending on the ending you get, I think.
Maybe. Well, something's definitely missed based off the music, and Marl, your boobs are glowing. You okay? Oh, it's your pendant.
Uh-oh.
Something's definitely going wrong.
Nothing scientific can explain. Nothing scientific can explain how a pendant can cause an electrical failure and cause whatever that is to appear.
And why did it leave the pendant behind?
That's the main thing I'm wondering. Did she maybe like in her shock drop the pendant
or tear it off or something? But something just happened, and that's not good because missing people are never good things.
Missing people are never good things, and especially in Marl's case.
As we'll find out later on. But apparently, Luca doesn't think it was caused by the telepod itself. The pendant had something to do with it, and Luca seems to know her for some reason. But we're going to be the heroic asshole we are and try to go after her. And I love this song. This song right here is actually considered Chrono's theme. It's the main theme in the game in general, a Chrono trigger, and I love it.
There's also a second Chrono's theme that plays, I think. Or was that unreleased?
I think that was on the soundtrack disc only. And we're gonna be, I'll tell you this right now, we're gonna be gushing over this game's soundtrack over and over again. It's, what's the guy's name who did it? Something M.
Oh, Yasunori Matsuda.
Yasunori Matsuda. The guy's a genius. And, Umatsu did some work on the game, but this is mostly M guy's Matsuda's work, and it's so good.
I was doing some research on this game, and apparently Matsuda said he went to Shigeru Miyamoto and said, "Yo, if you don't let me compose Chrono Trigger, I'm gonna quit." And so Miyamoto was like, "Damn, we need this dude because his talents are not." Oh shit, not Miyamoto.
Because I'm about to say that's Nintendo.
That's Nintendo.
I know what you mean though.
Why am I forgetting? Oh my god, I'm so
Oh
dumb.
God.
Imps. But he said he was going to quit. They said, okay, you can do it. And it was super stressful because he was super young, but what he created was literally just,
Candy,
my
enemies?
ears having an orgasm. Okay, Blue Imps. Blue Imps have, wait, you didn't give me them. I don't have those guys in my notes.
Oh yeah, that's me, sorry. 13 HP, 2 XP, 1 TP, 12 gold. They're very slow. In fact, I've had playthroughs where they aren't even able to get a shot off on me because of the way they move around. But they're pretty simple, obviously.
Also, I find it really interesting how in some cases, it really depends on, like, the enemy, their attacks can depend on how close they are to you.
Yeah, that's a really interesting idea they have going on there.
It adds a touch of realism that I like.
Yeah, I actually like that too. Luca said she's gonna follow us when she knows what's going on. So right now, we are wherever we are right now, and we just have to try and find Marl. Oh, that looks fun.
Why are you kicking a soccer ball? Oh wait, what? That's a rolly. That's a rolly. A rolly with 24 HP, kicked? 3 XP, 1 TP, 25 gold, and can drop a tonic.
So do they get off on getting kicked? That's an odd fetish.
Oh boy.
But yeah, a lot of the enemies in the early sections are basically just there for early section's sake. They have basically nothing special about them. They almost all die in one hit, so there's nothing really to complain about in early game in terms of difficulty. Mind you, that's something I have to say for game long. Chrono Trigger is not that hard of a game.
It's not. It's a very, very... I think it's a great game for beginners, honestly.
Either way, we're in Truce Village, but things look different. We're in the year 600.
600.
We were in 1000 before.
400 years in the past.
So, somehow, that pendant caused Luca's telepod to make a time travel thing going on. How and why? But yeah, Truce Village is apparently in the middle of a war here, as is the entire Kingdom of Guardia against some guy named Magus. More on that later. And Truce has some weird stuff going on, including some rather annoyingly abusive guards.
Shut your pie hole. That's a phrase I haven't heard in a long time.
You can talk to a lot more people than I do for a lot more information, but for the most part, I talk to whoever I need. And hello, guy entering. You are a unique sprite, so that means you must be important in some way.
Special. I mean, he is and isn't. He's optional, I think.
Yeah, this is Toma. He's a traveler, and throughout the game, we can actually buy him some drinks. So the queen's been missing, and they apparently found her already. But Toma thinks there's something fishy going on about a cathedral over to the west, so we're going to need to investigate that probably. And there's another one of those chests.
See, it has a face. It has a face.
I actually always saw Cthulhu. Or at least like a Mind Flayer or something like that.
Yeah, Mind Flayer. That's perfect. I can totally see that. Okay, that makes more sense. Okay.
And this guy's actually making Lean's Bell for the square, so we are definitely back in time. I don't know how this happened, but it did.
Also, I actually just recently learned something about the specific people in that specific house. So, oh yeah.
But we're going to need to go over that later, I suppose. But with that, we're going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching. Sorry you had to sit through about 6 minutes of just the intro twice, but I wanted to show out the PlayStation intro. But with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 2, we'll be checking out the 600 AD Guardia Forest and seeing what we can do about Marl.
Whatever is going on.
See you guys.
See you guys. Then. Oh, dang it.
Gotta go fast.